On this episode of That One Movie Podcast, we're going to review a video game movie. Just kidding, not a video game movie, apparently.
But kinda?
But kinda. Gran Turismo. We're going to talk about it. We'll start non-spoilers, then we'll dive into spoilers. We'll warn you before that happens. If you want to jump straight to that review, check out those time codes in the description. Otherwise, we're going to talk about some news from this week in the world of entertainment beforehand, including Dune Part 2 being delayed. Talking through that, why that may have happened. Elemental, the Disney animated movie that we didn't see. I don't know, not many people saw, but apparently it's a success now. Mm-hmm. And then we're also going to break down some trailers for Foe, and of course, Zack Snyder's angsty Rebel Moon.
Yes.
As always, use those time codes in the description to jump to whichever section you want to listen to immediately. Jump around, do whatever you like. I'm Jimmy Youthy.
I'm Holden Sutter.
And it's time for Tom.
Tom.
That One Movie Podcast. TOMP.
All right, Jimmy, before we talk Gran Turismo, let's do the Toms.
Let's do the Toms.
The Toms. Toms is the rapid fire segment in which we rate the news of the week in the world of entertainment on a scale of 3 famous Toms: Brokaw, Bombadil, and Bergeron.
Oh, that was too fast for me. No, you can do Brokaw, Bombadil, Bergeron.
Brokaw, Bombadil, Bergeron.
Yep.
Brokaw's the highest, Bombadil's the lowest, and Bergeron is somewhere in between.
There we go.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. That way you don't have to show it off twice.
Yeah, there we go. And then once again for the audio listeners.
Yeah, there are the little paper cutouts. But Jimmy, let's get started.
Awesome, Holden. What's our first story?
So we got a couple of trailers. First off, the biggest one is Rebel Moon, the upcoming, highly anticipated Zack Snyder Netflix film.
Geographically, it's also probably bigger than the area that Foe will take place in as well.
Yeah, probably. That would make sense. Yeah. Seems like this is a planet-spanning
space opera,
if you will. Apparently based off of a previous Star Wars idea or something.
It was an idea that Zack Snyder had that he had pitched as a Star Wars movie. And then they're like, no.
I don't know about that.
Or it didn't. It was like they were making the sequels and they're like, we don't really know where this would fit in. And so Zack's like, well, I'll just make it myself with Netflix, with that Netflix money, Holden. Mm-hmm. So Rebel Moon, I did a video of this back a while ago. I think it sounds pretty entertaining. The question, like, it obviously has the Zack Snyder flair, and I don't hate Zack Snyder as a director. Like, he's got his shtick. I think the epitome of his entertainment is like 300. Mm-hmm. I think 300 is just an endlessly silly and entertaining great movie. Mm-hmm. So I'd be all in for that. For this too, I think it's cool. I just like the idea of getting this original space epic, that looks expensive. Obviously, we're getting the creator. We're getting this. I feel like there's another huge space movie that I'm forgetting right now. Dune, but like an original one.
I can't remember.
But I think it's really cool that this movie is being made. I like the world building aspects of it. Again, if you watch that video, I talk about some of the ideas that he has. That I find really interesting, like using human beings as like basically hard drives to store information and all these like cults and stuff like that. I think the cast looks pretty good, and it's going to be 2 parts. So Zack Snyder, of course, just had to make this huge movie, and it's going to be on Netflix, which apparently, if it's not on your TV, you can just watch. And now also on my TV, I can just watch it again. So I don't know if my parents upgraded their account without telling me, but I don't know. I've been able to at least watch it on my mobile devices and my laptop. So
that's nice.
That is nice. If you didn't know that, and you were using someone's Netflix account, just go onto your computer or your tablet or your phone, and you should be able to still work it. At least in the United States. The TV. That's what I've been doing, and now the TV app just works again. So cool. I don't know. I'm excited for this. I'll give it a Brokaw. I mean, I'm trying to think of what's coming out in December anymore. Wonka.
Aquaman
supposedly. 2.
We'll see.
Still haven't seen Aquaman 1.
Yeah.
That movie that made $1 billion.
this looks, I mean, as you said, like a Zack Snyder movie through and through. I mean, it's very gray. It has a lot of slow-mo in it. Heavy on special effects. I'm kind of mixed on Zack Snyder. I don't necessarily hate him or anything, but once again, I haven't seen 300, so I don't have that aspect. But I'm kind of more mild on this trailer. I think it looks like it could be fun. But if it's just a lot of action and I'm not engaged in the story at all, kind of like Army of the Dead or something, then
yeah. I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. I think this is gonna. I think this is more personal to him than Army of the Dead.
Probably. Yeah.
So I think that this is something that he's really put a lot of care and attention into, and things that he's been thinking about in the back of his head for a long time. And I think I just am rooting for that to be good, because I feel like if I had that, I feel like I have those things in the back of my mind. If I ever, was able to actually make them, I'm like hoping they would be good. Yeah. Because that would stink. If you're like this, you're like, I've been thinking about this my whole life, and then it's just mediocre. That would be a bummer. So I'm rooting for Zack. I'm at a Bro Golden.
I'm at a Bergeron. I do think it has more potential probably than Army of the Dead. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of cool things in the trailer. It's got lightsabers. Those look cool.
Yeah, so that lady's arms were, she's like part of this warrior society. They cut off your arms and replace them with blades, basically.
There's like a spider lady in it, too.
Yes, she's fighting a spider lady.
Yeah, so there's a lot of cool things in it. So yeah.
It's got both Dario Naharis actors from Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember you mentioned that.
The first one, and the better one, in my opinion, is the bad guy. He's like Admiral Pride or something. No, that's the Admiral Noble. Admiral Pride's the Rise of Skywalker guy. Oh. His name's Admiral Noble.
Okay.
So there we go. So I guess it's a little bit more nuanced since it's an ironic name, whereas the J.J. Abrams Episode 9 name is just spot on.
Pride.
Admiral Pride.
Forgot about that character.
All right, next trailer is Foe, starring Saoirse
Ronan
and
Paul Mescal.
What else has Paul Mescal been in?
He was the After Sun. He was nominated for that.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's going to be in Gladiator 2.
Gladiator to meet you.
Yes, exactly.
Gladiator 2. I hardly know her.
Yeah, I had seen this trailer kind of going around, and then I just watched it in prep for the notes, and I was like, I'll add it in. But it looks like a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, it does. It looks like the Black Mirror episode with Domhnall Gleeson, where he dies. Spoiler alert for the first 5 minutes of that episode, and then his wife gets a replacement.
Haley Atwell.
Yeah, Haley Atwell. That's right. Gets a replacement bot cyborg version of him.
It does seem like that. I mean, the implication of this trailer seems to be that like Paul Mescal's not dying; he's just going away. So I don't know. He's going up into space to work on some sort of project. It's very vague in the trailer, and so he's gonna get replaced with like a robot double while he's gone. So then his wife isn't lonely, I guess. Is the idea?
Yeah, but then there's hints that like maybe their relation, like it's hard to know which one they're talking about. But one of the relationships is like not going very well. Mm-hmm. Chances that she kills the robot. Does she kill the robot? Yes or no, Holden? Gun to your head. Does she kill the robot?
I'm going to say no, she doesn't kill the robot.
Does she kill her husband?
Someone's going to get killed. I want to say yes to that one, but I also feel like that would also be like the obvious way to go for a sci-fi weird Black Mirror movie like this. But I don't know.
She's gonna pick the robot over her husband.
That's what I think.
Happen.
Yeah.
But I even though that's predictable, I still kind of want to see it.
Yeah, same. Yeah. I'm kind of in that same boat. I mean, both actors. I haven't seen After Sun. Apparently, he's very good in that. Saoirse Ronan is great in pretty much everything I've seen her in. So, I mean, if it's probably a one to wait and see for me. But it's also a director of Lion, which
was pretty good.
I never saw it.
It was my parents loved that movie.
Really?
They're like, "Have you seen The Lion yet?" It was like their movie that they asked people if they'd seen.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like the people who saw Sound of Freedom are like, "Did you see Sound?
You need to see
this movie." That's what my parents were like with The Lion.
Okay.
So yeah, it was pretty good. Better than Slumdog Millionaire, a movie that I think is just incredibly overrated.
I haven't seen either, so
watch them both. Holden,
okay.
Tell me which movie takes place in India is just way better than the other one. Right. I was gonna say something. Oh yeah, this movie's got a great tagline. Some people were made for each other.
Oh,
that's good. That's good. That's a good line to put on the poster. And it's like my Back to the Future one back here, where it's like some people are like not on time for their what does it say?
Never in time for his classes.
Never in time for his classes.
In time for his dinner. Then one day he wasn't in his time at all.
Yeah, one day it wasn't his time at all. I like the brevity of the faux one a little bit better. Hopefully the audience could hear that since you were reading it in the other direction.
I was trying my best to turn a little bit, but I also had to look. So
yeah,
I apologize.
Yeah, that was good, Holden. I appreciate you. You could have just let me fall there.
No,
but
I wasn't gonna let you.
Good co-host there. Let's see. I'll give it a Brokaw. Why not?
Yeah, I'll give it a Brokaw. It looks interesting.
There we go.
Yeah, so we'll see how it is.
Two Brokaws. Put that on the poster.
Yeah, Thomas 2 thumbs up Brokaw. Yeah. Anyway, next up we have WB announced some delays of several of their projects. The most notable of which is Dune Part 2 being delayed from November of this year to March 15th of next year. Jimmy, what do you think about this?
Wow. Well, now we can go St. Patty's weekend.
That's true.
I honestly, I used to get really upset about delays, and I don't know what the motivations are behind this one, but just personally, the older I get, the less I care if a movie's delayed. I'm like, I just don't get. There's very few movies where I'm like legitimately hyped for and sad they get delayed. Mm-hmm. If anything, I think it just helps me build up more hype. I don't know. It feels like Dune didn't come out that long ago. So I feel like we haven't really had to wait that long for this one. So it's like 2.5. Is it even 2.5 years?
It's just been 2 years. Not even.
Well, I mean, by the time March
it'll
be
be 2.5.
Okay.
So I think it was October
of 2021, right? Yeah. So that, I don't know. Maybe that's just me being adult, having a full-time job, and it just kind of blends together. But I'm not like heartbroken about it. I'm assuming that it's based on the fact that they want the actors and actresses kind of doing a press circuit for this,
that
and
would be my guess.
They can't do it with the strike. The weird thing is that I believe Dune has like a really long exclusivity with the IMAX theaters. Like 6, it's like unprecedented. So they're giving that up in order to do this. So I'm like, what is going to take over the IMAX screens?
I think the Marvels.
Yeah, Marvels.
I think I saw they were actually, but
so good for Disney, I guess.
Yeah, the other aspect of it that I'm confused as to why they'd want to give up is, this is basically gonna this is not gonna go up for any Oscars.
That's okay. So is it gonna be this?
No, it won't be this next year, and so it'll be up for the next year
2025.
But movies released that early for that window typically just don't do that well,
unless you're everything everywhere all at once, which somehow ran the gauntlet with that. I have no idea how they. That is one of the more incredible Oscar wins of all time. Honestly,
it is, and it's not unprecedented. I'm sure it still will be nominated for some, but it is going to be all out of the public consciousness a lot of it by the time those nominations go out. It
is true, but you'd also think Dune Part 2 to me kind of seems like it's in the same category as Oppenheimer in a lot of things. Mm-hmm. So Oppenheimer won't be in that same window. Napoleon won't be in that same window. Mm-hmm. I feel like this year's really stacked for the big budget. You're going to have Scorsese has a movie that's supposed to be amazing. Mm-hmm. Nolan does. If Villeneuve's coming out with something, you got the 3 heavyweights, and then you also have people talking about, Barbie and Past Lives. And I just feel like
David Fincher movie.
The David Fincher, The Killer with Michael Fassbender. When's that coming out, by the way?
I think second half of this year sometime. I don't know if we have a date.
So I feel like it's just a stacked year for kind of bigger budget or more mainstream movies. Mm-hmm. So I'm off the top of my head, I can't really tell you what is even coming out next year in that regard. Is Mission Impossible coming out next year. I'm like,
I mean,
I wouldn't imagine that would be a Best Picture.
Technically, it is. Yeah. Just kind of looking through here. I mean, granted, I'm sure there will be more movies like big award winners we have announced dates for later on, but yeah, it doesn't look like there's too many big things.
Joker.
Yeah, I got Joker, Gladiator 2,
Craven.
Yeah, Craven.
So I mean, I don't know. I the awards thing is weird, but I don't know. I personally, I'm like, I can wait till March. I'll be fine.
I can too. I'm okay with that. And I mean, who knows how far along they are. If it gives VFX and whatnot more time to work on that stuff, that's always great too. So yeah, from those aspects, cool. I mean, if it's just to get the cast promoting it, whatever. I don't know. It's but I'll give it I think Bergeron.
Yeah, overall. I'm at a Bergeron too. Hopefully this movie makes money.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
I saw this week that Denis reiterated he wants to make Dune Messiah. So
yeah,
if this makes money, he probably will. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Sweet.
Awesome. But then other WB delays,
WWE
delays. That are it's kind of a domino effect with Dune. So Dune took the original spot that the new Godzilla versus Kong was going to take. So now that's delayed to April 14th of next year, just about a month. And then that took the spot that the movie that I forgot existed, the WB animated Lord of the Rings movie, which got delayed to December of
This
next
is a
year.
spin-off movie?
Yeah.
Or is it like the 70s or 80s one where it's actually the animated Lord of the Rings?
It's called like The War of Rohirrim or something.
Oh, yeah.
Rohirrim.
What is it?
It's here, let me just pull it up here. I think it's probably on this list.
What is the one?
Rohirrim.
Yeah, I know. Like, why can I not think of how to pronounce this?
I don't know.
Like, that's a place in. Oh, I just bumped your microphone. That's a place in like one of the first 3 movies, I think. Right? The writers of Rohirrim. No, I'm thinking of something else now. I don't. The War of Rohirrim.
It's apparently a prequel set 183 years before the events depicted in the Two Towers. Why wouldn't you just say Fellowship? Okay, I don't know.
I don't know. The I can't wait for people in Pennsylvania to say they're going for this. I'm going to the War of Rohirrim.
Sure.
The War of Rohirrim. People in Pennsylvania say like water. War.
I've never been to Pennsylvania.
War of Rohirrim. I'm just saying people are gonna sound like Chewbacca when they're saying that. Yeah. There we go. What are we talking about? Lord of the Rings that got delayed. I don't care about either of those.
Bergeron for me as well.
I'm so happy you brought those up, Holden.
Just figured, I mean, it's like a domino effect. I was like, if we talk about Dune, might as well talk about those briefly.
It's like a domino effect. We talk about that. We got to invade Vietnam.
Yeah, I guess. Next
little U.S. history / world history joke for you there.
Next up, we have Elemental. So this was the thing I added last minute before here because I just kind of remembered it. So Elemental this week, it came out and was like, oh, Elemental is actually a success. Like it initially,
I don't believe it.
Or at least some sort of mild success, because when it first came out, it was like everyone was saying it was bombing. An opening weekend wasn't very good. It was kind of what made us decide not to review it because we're just like, no one's seeing it and we don't care that much. So why would we go see it? But apparently it's earned $468 million up to this point. It's earned more than Across the Spider-Verse in international markets, though that movie still tops Elemental overall. I think like the important thing about this movie is it shows like the power of sleeper hits, which a lot of movies just aren't getting anymore. The ability to become a sleeper hit.
I don't know.
Because like so many of these movies, like Blue Beetle, I saw is like releasing on digital in like 2 weeks.
Yeah. All right, so you're saying like it builds up over time.
Yeah, it builds up over time. And sure, I'm sure Elemental seems to be like a decent movie from what I gather. And I'm sure, word of mouth and everything. Not every movie is going to do that. But I mean, a lot of movies are just not even given that chance.
Well, what other kids movie came out during that time that people would have seen? I guess it's like, how many of this is just like, oh gosh, I have kids I need to go to a movie.
You're forgetting Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken.
Well, yeah. Between this, are you going to go to Elemental, the Pixar one, or the one that you've never even heard of? It's going to be this one, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Cool that it got a long theatrical run, except no other Pixar movie that's been released since COVID has had that release.
Yeah, no. I think that Disney, for all of its faults, they actually do seem to give most of their movies a chance at the theaters. Like most of their
That's true.
Like most of their movies, I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 just got released on Disney Plus like a few weeks ago. Not that really needed time or anything, but like most of these movies, I mean, Haunted Mansion's still, I mean, that movie's not doing well, but they're at least giving it the opportunity to do better.
You never know. Maybe it'll make $468 million.
Yeah, maybe. And just other like WB. I saw that like they're putting Barbie on digital like next week.
That's still a mistake. That's a massive mistake.
It's still doing well at the box office. Like a lot of these studios don't seem to have the confidence, even though we're getting some examples of just like how it can still go well with theaters.
Yeah. I don't know. I still don't know anybody who saw this movie.
I don't either. Personally.
I was holding up Bombadil just because I'm like, was this actually a success though? They spent a lot of money on this movie.
They did.
Like,
okay.
Did this movie actually break even? I have a hard time believing that it was that. I mean, like if it made money, it hardly made any money.
Yeah, I think it was like a minor success, if anything, because I think it had like a $200 million budget. So if you double that for marketing, it's like, well, it probably earned $68 million.
Broke for Pixar getting to have one of their movies in theaters, though. That's nice for them.
Yeah, I'll probably just give it a Brokaw.
Look, we didn't see it, so we can't be hard on it.
I might see it when it's on Disney Plus. We'll see.
Wow, a ringing endorsement. Speaking of Disney Plus, Holden, it's time for our final story of the week.
Yes, just one final thing. Disney, curiously, after a couple weeks ago, we talked about how they're going to stop making physical releases for Australia. They said that they're going to be releasing some of their Disney Plus shows, physical media, that being Blu-ray and 4K Ultra HD, from what I saw. And those shows are going to be WandaVision and Loki Season 1 for Marvel. And then for Star Wars, you're getting the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian.
Oh, a good thing you get the good seasons, huh?
Yeah.
Brokaw for you, Holden. Physical media guy. I know you like that.
Yes, I'll give it a Brokaw. I might buy the Loki one, honestly. I like Loki a lot. So
nice. Or you could just watch it on Disney Plus.
I could, or I could own it, Jimmy. I could own it so they can never take it away from me.
Yeah, okay. Then you can just go and cancel your Disney Plus subscription. Very, very nice. Anything else to say about that?
Nope.
All right. Well, TOMPeyes, we didn't go to Popeyes. So we went to Culver's because we were in a hurry because we went to the movie Old Boy last night at our local state theater. Mm-hmm. And, which was, we'll talk a little bit on what are you doing about Old Boy.
Yep.
So we were in a hurry, so we went to Culver's, which is a Midwest United States chain.
Based in Wisconsin?
Wisconsin, famous for cheese, dairy, burger. They have the butter burger.
Yes.
Which, sounds about as healthy and delicious as it sounds. I think the only thing worthy of note is we went there because we're like, Popeyes will take too long. Mm-hmm. And then we got there, and immediately the person right ahead of us when we got there put in $100 to-go order.
Yeah, I was honestly getting kind of worried we weren't going to have enough time to eat.
And Holden eats slower than my grandma. And I think he actually eats slower than my great-grandma, and she's dead. So... and I had never seen Holden eat so fast in my life.
We needed to get going for Old Boy.
Yeah, Holden, when he needs to go see a movie, he can just kick it into new gear.
Well, I mean, usually if we're at Popeyes, we give ourselves like an hour or so to eat or whatever. So I'm like not in a rush. I'll just kind of nibble on it over the course of the time we're there.
Over the course of the 10 minutes by the time we finally get the food.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. Popeyes, you've been doing pretty well actually lately.
Yeah, we didn't go to Popeyes this week though for Gran Turismo because I was still driving back from Lincoln at the time. So unfortunate.
Yeah. Could not. So
I didn't leave early enough. I didn't time it out well enough.
No TOMPeyes this week. Maybe no TOMPeyes next week, but TOMPeyes shall return shortly.
Shall return.
But what we do have for you is our breakdown, spoiler review of Ahsoka episodes 1 and 2, kind of our first impressions of the Disney Plus show. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned right after this little break. Otherwise, skip forward to our Gran Turismo non-spoiler review or wherever you want to go to listen to any other segment. All right, we're going to dive into Ahsoka, starting right now.
All right. Ahsoka, episodes 1 and 2, the new Disney Plus Star Wars show about the character of the same name. This is connected to the Mandalorian verse.
The Mandiverse.
The Mandiverse.
Mandivorce.
Yeah. But
it's just him and his ex-wife.
Guess what'd you think of these first 2 episodes, Jimmy?
Okay, here's the deal. This is a sequel to Rebels more than anything, right? Like
100%.
I have not seen Rebels. I've seen scenes from Rebels. People say they like it. I have no really inclination to watch it outside of the scenes that I've just looked up on YouTube.
Yeah.
I have a really hard time caring about anything that is happening in this show. I also think it is remarkably slow paced. Like, just why are these episodes so long? You could literally, like, I'm trying to not exaggerate this, but you could have, I think you could tell the same exact story in like 60% of the time that it took to do this.
I would agree.
It is so like, and that's just a complete like subjective thing. Like, if I could see people really enjoying this, and I think that's totally legitimate. If you're a fan of Rebels, I think you'll like this. You're like, oh, there's the characters I like. There's this. That's awesome. And it's a stylistic thing. I think just this kind of contemplative kind of thing. And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with it. But as someone who hasn't watched Rebels, this is not convincing me to watch the rest of the show out of my own like fruition. Like, I just don't, there's nothing compelling me to continue going. I just think it is like, holy smokes, is this just boring? It's kind of, I was just like struggling to, I didn't go on my phone or anything while watching this, but holy smokes, I was like, it is taking some effort to pay attention to what's happening.
I mentioned to you, I don't usually do this, but I'll admit I did just start playing my Switch for part of these episodes. I was paying attention enough. I knew everything that was happening, but as you said, just so much of this didn't need to be in here. And I was not really that engaged. On one hand, I want to commend it because I think, committing to being a sequel to a show like Rebels is kind of cool. I mean, obviously it's Dave Filoni who created that show. He has a passion for those characters, wants to bring them over into live action. That's fine.
It also seems just like a retcon of the ending, though, doesn't it? It's like Thrawn, apparently they defeated Thrawn, and like Ezra, this main character, like sacrificed himself to do so.
Yeah.
And now they're just like, well, no, actually Thrawn's alive and Ezra's alive, probably.
Yeah, no,
so
that
I'm
is
like,
true.
Doesn't that seem to just negate what you've done? I don't know how long it's been since the events of that. And look, I feel like we could have used like here's what happened on Rebels, sort of thing. And they show us a little bit of that, but there is really just illusions.
Well,
it's
I think that show takes place in between the prequel and original trilogies. So it's been at least, since the beginning of the original trilogy till whenever this is in Mandalorian, right?
Yeah, how long does the original trilogy last, I guess?
Yeah, I can't remember
Has it been like 10 years then?
Probably.
Because
that would make sense. Because okay. Once again, knowing nothing, I don't know how old like Sabine is supposed to be.
Okay. I thought she was like 20.
Yeah.
I'm like, is she just a straight up just child in that?
No,
I'm so confused. Maybe she's like 30, I guess.
I think she's like pushing 30 is like the idea I'm getting.
And look, there's people who know that are probably just like yelling into the phone right now. It's just, this is our perspective as people who have not seen it. It is a little confusing, the timeline for this. People love Thrawn, so I'm excited to see Thrawn. yeah, I did this just didn't. I don't know if it's Star Wars like fatigue of like you or what is it, but I just thought it was very, especially the first episode, that was just very wooden. And even like the very like the kind of the, I don't even know if it was like a cold open, but where you get introduced to the bad guys.
Yeah.
Who infiltrate. And I liked the idea of that scene, but I just thought the performances were just so hollow and by the numbers. And there was no energy to, like, there was just no energy. It was so slow. And it was like, there was nothing like super creative to get me into it. It just was like, okay, I've seen this before. I know exactly what's going to happen. They just walk down the hall and they just kind of hold their lightsabers straight. And every once in a while they like force choke a guy or pick him up. But it's not like Darth Vader just slicing through people at the end of Rogue One and you got the great score by Michael Giacchino going on.
Yeah.
It was very very limited camera movement. I don't know. It looked nice. Like I thought the effects overall looked nice. It just was like,
I mean, I think it's not helped by like the whole concept for the scene. Like they just let those people on the ship for like really no good. They're like, oh, we're gonna call his bluff.
Jedi.
It seems really contrived and dumb. I was like, I just thought that just the writing was really stupid for the reasoning for all that happening.
And I think Dave Filoni did a really good job with the Mandalorian episodes that he directed. So it just was like, can we go? Like, can we do like, I don't need this scene to be, 6 minutes when I already know what's going to happen. And there's nothing to compel me to keep watching it. Cause it's just very by the numbers. Which I think is too bad. I do like, there are things that I really do like about this. I like the whole like Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of feel of her going to that area to find the map to Thrawn. Okay, first off, the maps are stupid.
Yeah, this is like the third or fourth time in a Disney Star Wars thing where it's just been a map to a person.
Yeah, like the map to Skywalker, the map to the Death Star ruin thing. What was in the Death Star ruins?
Wasn't it another map or something?
I don't know. What were they? I have not seen that movie since it was in theaters, and I am afraid to go back and rewatch it.
I feel like they took a map to find another map. I could be wrong. Oh my gosh! But
why? Okay, I'm so confused. So they're like Thrawn died during this, but then later they said he was banished. Yeah. I'm like, how would you not know if this guy was alive or not? Like, if he was banished, you would know that he was alive. Like, so like, and if he was presumed dead, how do people not know that he isn't actually dead? But apparently there's this huge conspiracy of pro-Imperial people who are just keeping it a secret, I guess. And the Republic is just so oblivious to it.
Yeah. Well, I get the sense that like,
I mean, it's a big galaxy, so I get, who knows?
I get the sense that the Imperial people aren't aware that he's alive, but they're just like.
But just in case, we're building this huge thing called the Eye of Sion or something, remarkably close to the Eye of Sauron.
I'm not saying it makes sense,
but just in case, we're gonna put $2 bajillion into this huge thing that apparently will fly over there. Why do you need such a big ship? Just because it's so far away that they need these things, or is it like, oh, well, maybe just in case he's got a huge fleet of super Star Destroyers just waiting there. I don't know. Maybe this will be all answered, but I'm like, a map to this guy? And why is the map in all these random ancient places? I'm like...
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense. Why is it in these ancient ruins?
I'm like, why is there...
this guy who disappeared 10 years ago?
Why are the ancient Egyptians building these things for Thrawn? Like, that was bizarre to me. Also, it was like this is my problem. So I love the idea of the Raiders of the Lost Ark element in the show. I do not think it was executed well because you're like, first off, there's just no danger to it. Like there's no traps or anything. She's just there.
Yeah.
just checking it out.
She's just like turning things randomly.
Yeah,
she's just like twisting objects.
She's like, what if I go over to this and hit the triangle button? What happens? Like, she's just in this Uncharted room or Tomb Raider room or whatever, trying to figure out this puzzle. There's nobody with her, so it's not like she's explaining her thought process. And I get it, visual storytelling, but there's no stakes to it. There's not like she's not in danger at all. I have no idea what she's trying to do. She's just moving things. I'm like, okay, it kind of points in that thing and it's kind of lighting up, but what's the point of that? Why does that matter?
I saw someone online compare it also unfavorably to the intro to the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Where he's like going after the orb or whatever.
Yeah,
and
I have not seen it in a long time, but I do know the scene you're talking about.
Yeah, and that one, it kind of has some Raiders energy to it as well, but it de-emphasizes puzzle solving and is instead just, I mean, obviously has the Come and Get Your Love song playing over it. It's very iconic. Has quite a bit of energy to it. And so that scene is like excusable because it has it's plays with it a bit differently, and here it's just like it is like Raiders but worse. There's really no personality to it.
No, it's just, which is kind of funny that I'm wearing this shirt where it's Indiana Jones discovering Han Solo frozen in carbonite, kind of the play on Harrison Ford, both roles, but it's also Star Wars kind of taking inspiration from Indiana Jones. So unintentional shirt wearing today, but it works. Nice. But yeah, I just thought that I love the idea of this scene. It's not working for me. And also, why is it like an 8-minute scene or whatever it is? It just is like, I need more. Like, if you're not going to have someone there with her where she's explaining the thought process to them, like, you need to do a better job of visually showing me what's going on and just having some reason for me to care. Mm-hmm. Did we know what she was looking for at that time? Was this the first or second episode?
This is the
first
episode?
I can't remember.
Well, it's at
honestly.
the beginning, and she's searching for the sphere.
You know what else is just silly?
What?
When they're like revealing that mural, and then everybody is just down like 100 feet below them, and there's no way on earth that anybody down there can see the mural that's like 40 feet behind him. He's talking about
Clancy Brown.
Yeah,
Mr.
I was like,
Krabs.
also Clancy Brown. I'm like, he's just popping up everywhere these days.
Apparently, he voices the same character in Rebels.
Oh, okay.
So,
and then Sabine, he's like, oh, now introducing Sabine. Oh, she's not here.
Where is she?
Where is she? Why would she ditch at the last second? I don't know. That was silly. And then they had that just chase down like the freeway, which just nobody's using, by the way. That seems like a very, very poor. Why not put other things on the speedway? That would have made that sequence a little bit more interesting and exciting.
Traffic and stuff.
Literally, no one for 10 miles.
Yeah, it's strange.
Everybody's at the ceremony, I guess.
Yeah, everyone's there celebrating
seems like
the heroics of Sabine.
Very poor investment in infrastructure right there. Beautiful freeway, I guess they got going on. I guess.
Yeah,
but also, why do you need roads like that when they all just fly around with spaceships?
Like, you have planets that just. I mean, I get it. Speeder bikes exist in the universe. They have since the original trilogy.
Hover.
Yeah, they hover.
They don't need a road.
It's very silly. At least it's not like the scooter chase in Book of Boba Fett. It's not that bad.
There is some just unnecessary spinning though in these like. Have you noticed that? Yeah. They're just spinning around, and I know that happens in the prequels too. But like, she's really just like what does she do? Get more momentum? It's like she's like Happy Gilmore going to hit the ball 450 yards. It's like I don't understand why I'm like the lightsaber fights weren't interesting to me.
Yeah,
none of the action was interesting. Nothing that was supposed to be exciting.
I'd say at best.
Yeah, it's just fine. It feels like filler. It's like, okay, we got to think of a lightsaber fight here on the spot. Let's just do it and get it done. And I don't think that's what they did. I think they probably had people choreograph it or whatever.
Yeah,
and I don't know. It's just like. There's nothing exceptional about this.
No.
In my opinion. It's all just fine. and I'm just sick of fine. I'm just so sick of it. It's like, what is the point of spending hundreds of millions of dollars on something just so blah? And maybe later on, benefit of the doubt, there's some big stuff that's gonna blow my mind, and it's gonna be great. And I'm gonna say, you know what? Ahsoka starts off kind of whatever. If you're into Rebels, you'll like it, but then stay around for the payoff at the end because it's huge and they're setting up Thrawn and all this stuff for the Disney Plus, the Star Wars-averse.
But they also, I mean, isn't it a third of the way through the series already?
Is it only 6 episodes?
I think it's only 6 episodes. So it's like, how much? I mean, obviously, you still have 2/3 of the series left, but you like wasted the first 2 episodes mostly, or at least a lot of it. I get you have to like, I don't know where Rebels ends up, but you have to get Sabine back as Ahsoka's apprentice. That's fine, whatever. It took 2 episodes to do that, but I don't know.
It's one of those things where it's like, did this really need to be a series? Like, or should it have been 4 episodes instead of 6 episodes? Because it just feels like things are drawn out, which is weird because Disney Plus, they don't have it needs to be this long for an episode.
Yeah.
And they've done like 25-minute episodes of The Mandalorian before. So it's like,
most of like Andor's episodes are like 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah. It's just, I don't need every show to be like Andor, but you got to be compelling. Like, you can be slow and methodical, but you have to be interesting. And this is just like, it's not interesting. And really, if you're a fan of Rebels, there couldn't have been anything that like out of the blue here that you would not have already expected to happen.
No,
like, I don't know. You know what was cool though? Their spaceship, how they could have the booth come up and the table.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, that is a very efficient use of space right there. You could have a ping pong table right there and just roll it off, and now you got your dining table and fit like 12 people around that thing. I was like, that I gotta get one of those.
I do tentatively like the villains. I don't think they're like incredible yet, but I think Ray Stevenson has quite a good presence.
He's got a presence. I like him.
Very intimidating figure and good performance so far. I like his apprentice too so far. I mean, obviously they're going for like a mirror of Sabine route, I think is what they're trying to do there. But she's cool, kind of creepy. Yeah, I like them. And now there's like a Inquisitor, which I feel like has to be like the last remaining Inquisitor, right? Yeah, like they all just die all the time.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I do like the idea that the villain guy? I forget what's his name.
I can't remember. I think it starts with a B.
Oh yeah, it's something like Skull. It's like Balak Skull.
Oh yeah, something like that.
Like the Vikings say, Skull. But Darth Skull or whatever. I like how he grew up as a Jedi, so he can like Balin Skull, and I like how he like remembers like the culture and kind of he really is like seems to be in tune with the Force and like the future is clouded. Like he approached, even though obviously he's like a Sith or whatever now, he very much approaches things from a Jedi's perspective. It's not like, ooh, I'm evil, Force lightning. He's like, no, it still takes on the perspective of a Jedi to kind of perceive situations in the world around him. I think that's a really cool idea that Filoni brings to the table here, and I hope they continue to explore that because I think it brings a lot of nuance to his character, and there's maybe more beneath the surface of him. Like, what are exactly his motivations? He seems to really want power beyond your wildest imagination or whatever he says. But
yeah, according to Wikipedia, he's a dark Jedi.
Dark Jedi.
So I don't know what that means, but I get the sense that he's not like fully Sith or anything. He is. I mean, he's a mercenary essentially. Yeah. He works for money. So yeah, he's a bit more nuanced to him than your average evil Sith character.
Yeah. So I like that. That's a thing I like. Put that in the check boxes.
At the end of the second episode, he seems like regretful that he's gonna try to kill Ahsoka.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's a shame that Ahsoka has to die.
Yeah.
You know, like the Thanos kind of like, oh, it's too bad that you're in my way.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
But no, I like that. He seems like a human, and not just a mustache twirling villain. And he has that presence. So yeah, overall, I like that a lot. Exploring that relationship between him and his apprentice will be very interesting. Also, you have that Night Sister witch thing. She's definitely going to just betray them.
Yeah.
It's like she has her own motivations.
Did we know she was a Night Sister in Mandalorian?
Oh, yeah. She's the...
she's in the samurai
like,
episode.
why is she so familiar? She's the samurai lady. I don't think so.
Yeah.
She definitely has her own motivations.
Oh, yeah. I was when it was revealed she was a Night Sister, I was like, oh, that's cool. I know that. That's the Darth Maul planet.
Yeah.
People.
But wait, didn't Darth Maul's people like overtake the natural people there or something?
I don't know. I
don't remember now.
I thought it was like all the females of that species were Night Sisters,
Okay.
and the males were like Darth Maul or
Maybe,
something.
perhaps. I don't remember now.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a lot of the things that you would see in like Jedi Fallen Order, surface here, like from like the ancient Jedi stuff to the Dathomir and all that. I'm sure it's in Clone Wars and Rebels and whatnot, but that's cool. Mm-hmm. Cool part of the lore. I'm trying to think of just other sequences. There's that droid that's just there still that Ahsoka cuts its head off to
oh yeah.
Then they like open up its brain and like, yeah, you should just do it. It could blow up, but you should just do it. Yeah. And I like, is David Tennant the droid?
Yeah.
He just goes, it's like, well, you're a hologram or whatever. I don't think the moment quite worked. Like it didn't, I don't think it was as funny as it should have been. Like something didn't translate. Like I think one of the human characters should have said that maybe or I say human, but like Ahsoka is obviously not a human.
Yeah. One of the non-droid characters.
But I do like David Tennant as the droid. He seems to be, very K2SO-esque.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I just am like, this is what I was kind of worried it would be. Just kind of just blah. And only appealing to people who like Rebels. We'll see. Maybe there's some stuff that will make it worthwhile for people who were not, invested into that previous show.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think the goal was to not make it just a Rebels sequel.
Yeah.
From what they've said, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Hopefully with subsequent episodes, it'll improve in that regard. But we didn't like the character of Hera, which we didn't mention. I do not care about her.
Who's Hera?
She's the green one.
The green one. The lady who's the hologram.
Yeah, the hologram.
A lot of time.
Lady.
Yeah, the general.
Yeah, who's played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who is a very good actress, but I just like
I'm like, does she need to be here?
Yeah, we're given nothing about her character outside of what you would already know from Rebels. So we just and she doesn't really do anything. So she's like third build in the series though. So I assume she's going to do more.
Okay.
I don't know.
We'll see. Yep. That's the first 2 episodes. I'm not convinced. Yeah. I'm not convinced so far. Hopefully I change my mind. We'll still watch it. Yeah. So stay tuned for episode 3 next week. And hopefully we have some more positive things to say about it. Yes. It's fine. It's fine. If you like Rebels, I'm sure you like it. Yeah. If you enjoy it, we're not Star Wars fans who go, you like that thing? You're dumb. You're dumb for liking that thing. You can only like Andor. So we're not like that.
No, we're not.
We're chill. We're chill.
Although you are dumb if you like it. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
And on that note, we're going to do our non-spoiler review of Gran Turismo. Turismo. Okay.
I don't know.
Right after this.
All right. Gran Turismo, Jimmy, the new video game kind of adaptation.
It's not a video game. It's a racing simulator.
Racing simulator movie from Sony, based on kind of the series of the same name, but also the true story of a young man whose name I cannot remember. But Jimmy, do you want to give us
got
a synopsis?
long last name. Here's the synopsis. Holden, the true story of a team of unlikely underdogs, a working class gamer, a former race car driver, and an idealistic motorsport executive who risk it all to take on the most elite sport in the world. This is directed by Neil Blomkamp, which I totally forgot about. I also didn't know that Neil spells his name with 2 L's.
Yes, very interesting spelling.
Neil, the double L. Right
previous, most well known for directing District 9,
which I still have not seen.
Very good movie. He also directed Elysium. Chappie.
Cult followings for those. I feel like
I haven't seen either of those, but District 9 is quite good. But yeah, this is the real life racer's name is Jan Mardenborough.
Jan.
Oh yeah, Jan. That's right.
Okay,
Jan.
First, is Elysium is that the Tom Cruise one, or is that the Matt Damon
you're
one?
Thinking Oblivion.
Matt
Damon
is the Elysium one. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to just get that straight.
Important.
Jan Mardenborough.
Jan Mardenborough.
So that's a true story. I do have a fact versus fiction thing here that we can dive into spoiler wise, but Holden, this movie is actually pretty good, I think. Like, I was like, what the heck? This is very entertaining. And this was way, way better than I thought it was going to be. And shout out to David Harbour, who is fantastic.
Yeah, he's probably the best part of the movie, honestly.
A really good performance.
Yeah.
I mean, you also have Jaimin Hansu playing Jan's dad, and he's terrific as well in that limited role. I thought the main guy was pretty good. Not like stellar, but he was good.
Yeah,
he was not bad by any means. He fulfilled the part really well. Didn't take me out of it. And Orlando Bloom was kind of fun to have as this like. He almost came off as like an eccentric billionaire, but he wasn't. He was just like the guy in charge of the Nissan marketing team. Nissan. Did he say Nissan or Nissan?
I think it's Nissan, he says.
Nissan.
Which, is that actually how you say it?
I don't know. In America, we say Nissan.
I'm just going to keep calling it Nissan for the sake of this review.
Nissan.
But he does say Nissan in the movie because I'll get screwed up if I keep saying that. But yeah, I think the movie is good. I wasn't like blown away by it. It is probably better than what I was expecting, but it's not like great to me. It's a solid movie. That's my opinion.
I think I would actually go to pretty like very close to great. I think this movie is like remarkably entertaining. And I think the sound design is very good. I think the way they did the effects, just first off the racing, and I think like even the following of the races and the geography, although it was like oddly inconsistent at times.
Yeah.
I thought it was like you knew what was happening at all times. Like you knew what was at stake. You knew where he was at in the race. There were multiple races. The one thing that I would knock it for in terms of like the geography kind of everything is the only thing that you're really not sure of in this movie is how long has it been between things happening in this movie? Like, does this movie take place over a couple months, over years? Like, when they go to this GT Academy, it's like, how long have they been here? It feels like they've
been there like a week.
Is it like a week? Is it a month? Is it a couple days? Like, it's hard to tell. And then the actual season itself. So that would be like the one like logistical thing I would have against this movie.
Yeah.
But otherwise, everything else I think is pretty much seamless. I think the movie's too long, but I'm not sure what you would cut out of it.
I see. Even the length, I wasn't even a problem for me. I mean, we kind of talked about afterwards how we saw the runtime of being like 2 hours and 14 minutes or something. 2 hours, 14 minutes. And we're like, oh gosh, 2 hour, 14-minute racing movie. Oh, God. But yeah, I actually didn't mind it too much. I thought I was fairly entertained for the whole time. But yeah, I mean, getting back to the racing stuff though, I think like probably aside from David Harbour, my other favorite part is just how impressive they looked visually in terms of the mix of like practical and CG effects they had, which was like seamless.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think there was one shot that was just blatantly CG. Like he's like driving and I think the car comes apart.
Yeah.
And that one was like the one shot that I'm like, that didn't look fantastic. Like, I love the creativity behind it. It did not look fantastic.
Yeah.
But everything else, we talked about it afterward, and we had to see this in our like IMAX equivalent XD sort of thing,
which is just not worth it.
Because there was the sound and the screen. This was not the worst movie to see in that format. I thought
Probably
it was
not,
pretty engrossing.
I'm not convinced I wouldn't have gotten the same stuff out of just seeing it normally.
I think it was just a little bit elevated for me.
Maybe.
I was immersed in this. I was not. This was after the first day of school for me. So I was pretty tired. We were seeing it. There was no regular showing between like 5 and 8:30 p.m. or something. So we had to go to this 6:50 showing at this XD theater. And I was not tired at all, which I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to fall asleep during this thing. And then I got to like try to figure out what I missed so I can still formulate thoughts on it. And I was on the edge of my seat for a lot of this. And we were talking, so we saw it on this bigger screen. And normally when you see things scaled up, they kind of fall apart in terms of what doesn't look great. And I could not tell what was real and what was not real. Like, I'm like, some of this is definitely not real. I cannot tell you which one is CGI and which one isn't. And that is a huge testament to the visual effects artists who made this. I'm sure there's just a lot of like just invisible video effects too, visual effects of just erasing things or adjusting things, all these minor adjustments, completely seamless.
Well, and the stunt driver for our main character is the actual guy that the movie's based off of, and Martin Burrow. So I mean, like you said, it is seamless. I would imagine most of the actual just like racing shots are real. It's probably more of the anytime there's like, video game things applied or like the crashes, I assume are probably CG, but they still look really good. But
I don't know. Like, even some of the crashes might be like simulated. Like, there's a blend. There's some sort of blend going on that. It was great. And I honestly think the way shout out to the visual effects supervisor, whoever that was in this movie, the way they did the effects too was fantastic. I thought the way they incorporated everything, how they would like it when he was sitting in his like simulator chair and they like put him into the seat and all that. I thought that was a really creative way of getting it done. And they did use like the GT camera mode a few times. And that was like one of the things that we got like kind of poking fun when this was first like a thing. Like, what are they gonna even do? Like, how do you even make this movie?
Yeah.
And I think they did a lot of really creative things with it, with those effects. And they used like the little indicators from the game to kind of show where Jan was at during races and that sort of thing. They had the HUD.
They used a lot of PlayStation sound effects. I don't know if there was a lot of just like PlayStation home screen sound effects that I like recognized that weren't necessarily from the game, but yeah.
And what was the other thing I was going to mention here? The other thing I was going to say is they also used the FPV drones, like an ambulance.
Yeah.
There was the big first use of them with Michael Bay. They use that here too, and I think to pretty good effect. Not distracting, and I just was like, this was an exciting movie, and I just had a lot more fun than I thought I was, and I was way more engrossed in the story than I thought I was. The sound mixing and design, I thought it was incredible. Granted, I never did see Ford versus Ferrari, so maybe not having seen that. Like, maybe if I had seen that movie, a few years ago when that came out, I'd be a little desensitized to these things and would not have had the same level of enjoyment out of this one. But I was like, that was just a solid movie that I did not anticipate to be that solid.
Yeah, I haven't really seen many like big racing movies aside from this one, so kind of in the same boat there. Aside from Talladega Nights. Classic.
One of Christopher Nolan's favorite movies.
Yeah, apparently.
Unironically.
But yeah, I think where I'm a bit different is the story. I'm not like, I don't know exactly what you would change, because I think in a lot of ways they did adhere closely to like the real life stuff, but it just was a bit cliche for me. And I think I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing in some regards, but in this I was just like, I mean, I know exactly what's going to happen at any given point with this
But
story.
I do like how there was like, you know, it was a more realistic take on a biopic, which essentially I think this movie is more than anything else.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, like it's it's not like he's the best racer in the world.
No.
It's like throughout the movie, it's like he's just trying to not get last place. You know, it's like, dude, if you can just finish,
I do like that aspect.
It's like you just need to finish fourth. Is like, and like that is like climbing Mount Everest in this movie, or like, you know, even like in the climax, it's not about winning the race and being number one. It's like
he just wants to get on the podium.
Yeah, if you can get on the podium, that's like, oh my gosh, mind blowing. So I thought that was kind of a cool kind of change, not about like winning the whole thing. I think the weakest part, and we talked about this immediately after the theater, something that we had liked with Blue Beetle is how kind of the female lead had a lot of agency, just was completely
just a nothing burger of a character.
And maybe that's what you cut out from this. Because I just don't think her relationship with him adds anything. Like, you don't really like, they have like one scene together early on, but it's like, why do they even like each other? What he seems very like almost like off-putting. So I'm like, what about him is she like attracted to? Like, he seems like it's this guy who's plays on his racing simulator hours upon hours every day, and then he like is very kind of snobbish about it. And she's like, I guess I just like you anyway.
Yeah, you're that good looking. You're that funny. I was looking it up real quick to see if she was like based on a real wife or anything. She's not. As far as I can tell, like she's just entirely made up for the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think.
Is he not married in real life?
I wasn't seeing anything about him being married in real life.
I would go to his Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. I'm not. It would usually be in this personal life section or listed on the side here.
Yeah, doesn't say anything. It looks like so.
So I mean. Maybe it's based partially on something that happened, but I mean, I get the sense that it's mostly made up for the movie, which when I'm talking about like it feeling cliche, that just adds to it. And I don't know, like when you're trying to take liberties with a story like this to make it more interesting, why don't you actually make it more interesting and take more risks?
So less and more boring and generic.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, I don't know, that it felt like every like change they made from his real life story just added to it being more generic. Like I said, I don't think they changed a whole lot, but I was like, why not change it to make it, I mean, either keep it the same or make it more exciting. I don't know, instead of making it just seem more samey.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the part. It's completely unnecessary. Like, it didn't add anything to the movie. Like, I thought it was going to play some sort of role later, and it really didn't.
No.
And you don't need it because you have his relationship with his dad, his relationship with David Harbour, which I think are both fairly well done, especially his relationship with David Harbour. And then you have his relationships with the other, like, the antagonists and the other people in the academy. So
the antagonist is so funny. He's just like so mean for like no reason.
Well, he's just a narcissist.
Yeah, he's just a bad
a gatekeeper of like, hey, you can't be a driver because you're a racing simulator. You don't. But he's
like
here.
Mean before that too. He's just like mean to everyone because he's just a rich narcissist, I guess.
An elite person. Those people exist, Holden. I hate to break it to you.
I know.
Yeah, no, I thought this was great. I honestly did. I think if you're on the fence, like it's way, the trailers did not do it justice for whatever reason.
It did make it look worse than it was.
It is like somewhat generic, but it transcends that for me. And I'm like glad I saw it. And I would even watch it again someday, honestly.
Nice. I think my last point, and this kind of just depends on who you are, how much it'll bother you. There's a lot of product placement in this movie. Okay. It bothered me a lot because it was just like every shot was plastic.
Why are they playing with PlayStation?
Well, I mean, I don't mind that, but it's like every shot in this movie is plastered with a Sony logo, a Gran Turismo logo, a Nissan logo, various other car company logos. Just like Red Bull. There's like Red Bull stuff in this. It's like every shot has this in it.
Okay, to be fair though, when you're watching sporting events, that is what sporting events are.
Yeah, and that's okay, I guess, but I don't. It felt like they were so focused on promoting these things that, I mean, like as you mentioned earlier, they're constantly talking about how they're like correcting everyone about Gran Turismo being a video game. They're like, no, it's a racing simulator. And there's that whole bit
that all worked for me in the thing. I like it. I think that fleshed out his character and it works within the story itself.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, and then there's the I also mentioned this to you after the movie. There's the bit at the beginning that is literally just a commercial for the game.
Yeah,
that's just like, I don't know. It's
like the movie's called Gran Turismo.
Yeah, I'm not naive. I understand that video game movies are like, the purpose is to like get the IP out there and stuff, but it felt like to me, and maybe this is just an extension of it being based on a true story instead of it being a story set in a universe or whatever. But it felt like they were just like more so than other video game movies, so focused on promoting these brands like throughout the movie. I don't know.
I think that's just because of the way the story actually worked and being based on a real story about these things. I was not distracted at all.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, like I said, I think it just depends on who you are. It bothered me a lot, but if it didn't bother you, Jimmy, that's cool.
Well, I mean, you like say it's a commercial, but like the whole story was based on a marketing scheme.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, like that's kind of the point.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get that, but I just feel like they didn't need to go as far as they did.
So if you're going to have a movie about a marketing scheme and one of the characters is literally the marketing director, like, of course these brands are going to, I don't know. It felt very grounded in the movie to me.
Yeah, it's a marketing scheme, but we're also seeing the inside of the actual operation instead of viewing it from how they were portraying it to the public, right?
Yeah, but your character who's seeing it is also the marketing like director of Nissan.
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't work for me personally.
Okay. I do want to say that there's the one, like at the beginning, they have this montage about the greatest racing simulator ever created, or most realistic, whatever they say.
Yeah.
And they have like the creator guy like testing it out. They use that shot, I think, 6 times throughout the movie. Hilarious. Like they just recycle that baby several times.
Yeah. No.
Outstanding.
They love to use that shot.
I'm like, they couldn't get any more footage here, I guess. I don't know if that was the real guy or not.
I don't either.
But pretty hilarious. Who's this movie for? I think if you are into racing at all, I think if you just like, if you are
it's not the real guy.
Not the real guy. Bummer. Is the real guy alive?
I assume so. I don't know.
Yeah. But they should have gotten the real guy. Maybe just didn't want to do it. If you like racing movies at all, I think if you're a fan of just like, oh, I like a good biopic, you're just like in the mood to watch a movie, but you're not sure what you want to watch. I think this is just a very I think it's a pretty broad audience for this, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think a lot of people would watch this and be like, that was a complete waste of my time. Like, I think there's enough humanity to it. And like, for me, I don't care about racing at all. I've never have. Makes me want to watch that like Formula One show on Netflix that everybody likes. But I'm like, I was invested. And maybe that's just like the sports fan side of me. So maybe that was it. But I think it's worth watching. So if you're at all considering it, I would say go for it. And I would actually say that it is worth seeing in the theater.
That's a good point you brought up at the end there too, because I've always said sports movies are like my least favorite genre of movie. So maybe this is like maybe this is like actual praise for me saying I didn't hate it, because most sports movies I do find boring and generic. So I'm giving it like a 6 out of 10. I think it's a good movie. just maybe not exactly my cup of tea in a lot of ways, but I did appreciate a lot of aspects of it.
I think it's better than that. So
all right, that's fair.
There you go.
You gonna give it a rating?
No, I'm not gonna give it a rating. I think it's better than a 6 out of 10. There's your rating.
Okay.
All right. Holden, let's dive into our spoiler discussion of this. Of course, if you haven't seen it, use those time codes in the description to skip to What Are You Doing? Otherwise, we're going to dive into spoilers right after this.
Yes. Okay, spoilers for Gran Turismo, Jimmy.
He kills a guy.
He kills a guy,
Or
which
a gal,
apparently
we
happened.
don't know.
Yeah, just a spectator of sorts. Apparently happened in real life, which it makes sense. I feel like that's not something you'd probably make up for a movie. Like it's almost like slanderous. I think if you make up that someone, like a guy killed someone, didn't actually happen. But I was seeing, I didn't actually read. I don't have the full quote in front of me, but I saw that like they asked him if they could include that detail, and he's like, "Yeah, it's like untrue if you don't include it."
He said, "No, I'll kill you."
Yeah,
Just like I killed that guy. Yeah, that was surprising. That they literally like he killed the guy. Like that would be hard to live with.
Oh,
Holy
yeah.
smokes!
even though it is not his fault, really.
Apparently, but like it isn't like it's a freak accident. But also, if you didn't do this thing, this would not have happened.
Yeah,
So it's like, I mean, it's a really cruel twist of fate. You know, it's like.
yeah. I mean, I agree with everyone not really putting the blame on him because it is like a freak accident and it's just like no one could have foreseen that really, but yeah, it is.
Yeah, I agree. So like other people saying, "Hey, you shouldn't feel guilty about this,"
Yeah.
but then him feeling guilty about like, I know it.
Yeah.
Like, how
If
could
you
I
were
have
in
seen
that
that
position,
coming?
yeah.
But like, if I hadn't done this, this wouldn't have like that. That is just like really heavy to deal with.
It is.
And because I was like, there's good, like you have to have the end of the second act, right, where something goes wrong.
What's gonna happen?
And I thought it was gonna, like, I turned to you and I said someone's gonna die, like, or like there's gonna be a huge crash when it was the GT Academy, like the final race. That's when I thought it was gonna happen, which I guess was way too early in the movie for that. Maybe, probably.
That would have been really tragic if just at the academy someone dies.
Yeah, I was like, gee, and then that would be a huge thing, right?
Yeah.
But
That's one of the things. One of the things I want to mention that is different from real life is apparently he wasn't part of the first GT Academy. He was part of like the third or something. So I don't know. I don't know exactly how his story differs from that of like the first winner, I guess. But yeah, I believe he was the third winner of that academy.
Yeah. So I have the fact versus fiction here. It doesn't say in this article. This is from USA Today. It just says that he did go to this GT Academy that was put on by Nissan. Did he win the first GT challenge? Here it says the winner of the inaugural one was Spain's Lucas Ordóñez, who raced successfully for a number of years. He won the third one. Yep. So you got that. And then, so like the climax of this is his win at Le Mans. I was waiting for like the when life gives you lemon, making lemonade.
Okay, so in regards to that part, though, when I was reading that article, I thought it was interesting that the first winner was part of his team in real life.
The first winner of the GT Academy?
Yeah. Or at least that's what I read. So in the movie, in the movie, his team is him and two of the other people at the GT Academy he was at the year he was at it.
Yeah, so it says here, this is the USA Today article. It says the real team consisted of Martinborough, inaugural Gran Turismo contest winner Ordóñez, who we talked about in a second, plus one racing veteran who did not come from the video game world, well, the racing simulator world, named Michael Crum. No relation to Victor. As we know, so far we know. That is interesting. So two of the three were real. They made them all those. And
I mean, for the movie, I think it works in some regard to have these two people who previously kind of were in conflict with them kind of come back. But at the same time, I don't know. It's kind of silly to just have these people be like, "Oh, we're just friends with you now." I don't know.
Yeah, they were like, that one guy wasn't the one guy
jerk.
was a jerk, and then they were just like buddies later on. Like,
they're just buddies at Le
He's like,
Mans.
well, I watched your race, and now I respect you.
Yeah.
Which worked enough for me. Yeah, I thought the movie was a lot of fun. From the you have this simulator. I love how the cafe was just. You said like you saw the one guy playing like Uncharted 4 at the PlayStation cafe. Like, let me just go play this single player narrative experience that's like very intimate in this loud.
It's this internet cafe place that I assume most people there are playing online games of all sorts, but every game they're playing there is a Sony game, and a couple of which are just single player games. So it's
funny.
Yeah.
The crash, at Nürburgring, the German track, in 2015 was real, and they said that. And Martinborough says, because it was all real and someone died, we made sure the movie is very true to life in all the details. It was a big turning point for my career where it could have all ended, but didn't. And that was a big point in the movie because that's where David Harbour's stuff came from. His baggage.
That was probably my favorite part of their relationship too, is like, that is the point. I mean, in a lot of ways where their paths diverge, him deciding to keep going instead of quitting like David Harbour did.
Mm-hmm. But I just didn't realize how like physically demanding racing was on your body. Like not to that extent where like you had to be like a legit athlete.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize they experienced more G's than astronauts on takeoff. I was like, that's incredible.
That is.
I feel like it makes sense though. Like when you're turning and there's that much, like you really gotta you
need to have the strength, In
the movie in Le Mans, they have to like take the guy out because he's cramping and all that. I wonder if that pit stop thing was real. That like whole pit stop mess up.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I would if I were a betting man, I'd say that was for the movie.
Yeah, I would bet so as well. Like, dude, we could have finished like second.
Yeah,
what the heck, man? I like how they like explained Cardiff City, like the soccer team. Like that's a very famous club in the United Kingdom. So like I just thought it was funny that they like explained it.
Oh, I don't even know what it is.
I know you don't. Like the bird thing where he's like, this is my dad's football club.
Okay.
It's like, they would know that. In Europe, they would know that. But let's see. Was Jan Martinborough's father really a soccer player? Yes. Looks like that's real. There you go.
Cool.
Here's a reference. Leslie Martinborough is played by Spice Girl Jerry Halliwell, who will be recognized by fans of Netflix's Formula One racing docuseries Drive to Survive. See, I'm the only one who knows about this, Holden.
I'd never heard of that series.
I've heard it's really good.
All right.
That's because you don't watch sports things, so it doesn't get you recommended.
It's true.
So I thought that was cool. I thought just the racing I overall just was very engrossed with, and the whole season. Again, how long does any of this take? I'm not sure how long the time span for this movie.
It's really hard to tell, but
I do like there's like two other cars that they recommend. Like there's the rainbow striped car, and then there's the just gold Lamborghini.
Yeah, they make two other cars very distinct. The two other cars you need to care about.
That gold Lamborghini is pretty sick.
It is pretty.
I like how they like are driving. Like he gets in the car like after he's like, David Harbour, why don't you just stay as your mechanic? Like stay in your lane, man. And he like gets in the Lamborghini and it like starts driving away while the door is still closing.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
I mentioned to you the part that got like a unintentional laugh out of me was when the rainbow car crashes and and Jan asks, "Oh, is he okay?" And David Harbour's like, "Yeah, he's fine." And it just cuts to the burning wreckage. Like it's just this hard cut, which was not obviously supposed to be a funny bit, but I thought it was just that juxtaposition was very funny.
I thought it was funny when I can't remember what race it was, but it was like maybe the one where he finishes fourth. where like he's like yelling yes. I think David Harbour or like his girlfriend character is yelling yes, and then it cuts to the German guy and he just shouts the F word.
Yeah,
the one
for PG-13.
Yeah, the one for the PG-13. Thought that was hilarious.
That was pretty good.
But I'm trying to. I liked Orlando Bloom in this. I thought he was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Nissan. I thought it was funny how he's
He was
like
just kind of one note, but he was good.
giving this pitch to Nissan, and then they like go out and meet him before he leaves, and they're like, that idea that you have that's outlandish, we're gonna do it.
I will say, I don't know. Yeah, that was good. I don't know if it was intentional on the marketing part, but like I went in fully expecting Orlando Bloom to be like the nice mentor figure guy, just because I like David Harbour in the trailers is like how he is in the beginning of the movie, where he's gruff and doesn't believe in what they're trying to do. And so I thought that was kind of subversion of what I was expecting, at least, where, David Harbour is the one who is more of a mentor figure, and Orlando Bloom's like, are you sure we want this guy for the program?
Like, that other guy that's way better with the press? Let's go with him. It's literally like 1/1,000,000th of a second. He's like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like how David Harbour's like, you guys are just the worst. You can't do this. I don't believe in any of you. This is a big waste of my time.
My job is to prove you guys wrong. He says something like that.
And they're all just like, oh. But that was fun. Honestly, just like I think most of this movie like was just fun. I wonder if that police chase was real. I bet that was just made up.
That's probably made up.
Just like, I can't get in trouble. I got to go to this thing.
Yeah, most of the stuff prior to the actual racing, I just think is kind of bleh.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's like
before like he actually gets to GT Academy.
Yeah. Because then once you're there and you get into the actual racing, that's pretty entertaining. But yeah, a lot of that family stuff, and I mean that's also when we have the introduction to the girlfriend who doesn't matter. It's like it's just very cookie cutter, this type of movie, what you'd expect.
Yeah. One thing that was weird was like Jaimin Hanzu was like such a huge part of the first act of the movie, and he's like not in the second act, like at all. Like he just disappears for an hour of the movie,
and he's so good in every scene he's in. So yeah, it was disappointing. I mean, I guess I don't know where you'd insert him in, like really.
I don't know,
but you could feel the absence.
Again, though, David Harbour was the standout for me. Like I thought he was just phenomenal in his role.
Yeah, his arc is. I mean, it's something. I mean, obviously the old master is a famous stereotype or archetype in these movies, but he's so good, like at being very gruff and everything at the beginning, and then coming to care for Jan and being a lot more supportive towards the end.
Yeah, baby girl. Yeah. Little Joel Ellie thing. But I made the joke because Jan gifts him the Walkman, and I'm like, Holden, the plot twist is that this is a Walkman commercial instead of a Gran Turismo PlayStation commercial.
2 or 3 times they brought that Walkman out. They made sure to linger on that Sony logo.
Yeah. Oh, I love the Careless Whisperer action.
It's Kenny G. Songbird.
I thought that was Careless Whisperer.
Careless Whisperer is George Michael.
Oh. Yeah. No, you're right. Songbird.
Yeah, Songbird.
I got that wrong. Just great. Kenny G is very good. Great.
There was that one scene where the only purpose was to establish Songbird.
Yeah, I was like, what? Why was that the thing?
Was
apparently that's a real thing that he does.
Yeah,
still.
Which is cool. I mean, I think finding music that calms you down is cool and everything. So cool idea.
Yeah. Yeah. What else is there to talk about this that we haven't mentioned already, Holden? Otherwise,
I mean, not much. They get 3rd place, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
Nice.
One thing I do want to mention though is like a lot of the celebrations in this, they like make them like over. Like normally, I think like their movies have gotten too minimalist. Like I think scores a lot have like gotten too minimalist, and things have gotten too realistic. But in this case, I think they way over dramatize some of these things. Like when he first qualifies for GT Academy, he's like, yeah, and it's like slow-mo or whatever, and there's like music, and I'm like, if he would have just like celebrated realistically, I think that would have been a lot better.
I something I should have mentioned in non-spoilers is I didn't really care for the score too much. I think in general, and kind of for that that's part of the reason. Most of it was just kind of generic, whatever. And then there were a lot of times where it was just like, all right, we get this is how we're supposed to be feeling. We don't need to be like shoving it in our face. Which Lauren Balfe did part of the music. Also Andrew Kawasinski. Yeah, I don't know. Lauren Balfe does good on the Mission Impossible scores, but I didn't really much care for this one that much, personally.
I don't really remember it. Yeah. So that not a good or bad thing, I think. I liked it. Well, I liked this movie. Had fun. That's what I got to say.
It was solid.
Hopefully you enjoyed it too if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
Maybe you hated it. Tell us why. Tell us why in the comments, whether you liked it or not, if you're on YouTube. Or maybe you can do that on Spotify now. I don't know. Anywho, Holden, anything else to say?
I don't think so, no.
All right, then I'm going to ask you our question to lead us to the final segment, which, of course, is Holden. What are you doing?
What are you doing? What are you doing? No, what are you doing? What are you doing? No, what are you doing? What are you doing?
All right, Jimmy, what are we doing?
No, what are you doing?
What am I doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Okay, that's right. What am I doing? Well, we can start with the what are we doing?
What are we doing?
I see what, yeah, you see that? Last night we went to the State Theater, which is we've talked about it before, very nice local theater in town, Sioux Falls here. And we saw Old Boy, a South Korean film, a very famous one from, I believe, 2003 was when it came out.
20th anniversary. Park Chan-wook.
Yep, Park Chan-wook. It was a movie neither of us had ever seen. It's been on my list for a long time. I saw it was at the State. I like the State, so I was like,
Holden said, and Holden went to this over Lilo and Stitch.
I did,
which is that's saying something. Okay, yeah, this guy loves Lilo and Stitch over here.
I was like, I'm not sure I really need to go to 3 movies in 1 week. So which movie at the State will I go see? I'll go see this movie I haven't seen before instead of one of my favorite animated movies of all time. So yeah. And I think it was a good decision. I mean, it was very fun seeing it on the big screen. It was not what I was expecting, really. No. I mean, I don't really know what I was expecting.
I was expecting more of an action movie.
Yeah, because
there was action, but that's not. It's
not the main focus.
Very like the ratio to the rest of the movie. It was like action was a very minor part of the movie.
Yeah, there's a very famous action sequence in this movie, which is incredible. It's really good. I didn't realize, I was reading about it after that I guess, talking about the action scene, the knife in the back is like CG.
I 100% noticed that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I think that knife is CG. Okay. And I watched it. I was a little distracted by it. Like this, because we were sitting pretty close up and it was huge. And I'm like, that knife is definitely CG. But then at times I'm like, oh, maybe not.
Yeah.
Because they did a really good job of like blending the lighting. But there were times where it's like, okay, that's clearly just a 2-dimensional picture.
I guess I wasn't paying that close of attention to it. Maybe I'll have to rewatch it online and see if I notice it again. But yeah, I guess
if you're not looking for it, you're not going to see it.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, he gets stabbed kind of in the middle of this oneer. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of was like, and he kind of moved and I just was drawn to it just for a split second. And then I was trying to figure it out. And even then I wasn't 100% sure.
But I mean, aside from that, the sequence is really good. Mm-hmm. It's very incredible, very influential on a lot of modern. I mean, John Wick takes so much from that scene.
Yeah. Even you could argue even just like his black suit the whole time.
Yeah.
And the hair.
Yeah. There's a character in I can't remember the character's name. There's a character in one of the Yakuza games that looks exactly like this guy in like his outfit and everything. And I'm sure inspired by this guy and to some extent. But overall, I thought this movie was really good. I mean, believe it or not, who would have thought this well-regarded movie is quite good. It goes to some very dark places. But I think it's like it does a really good job of being like kind of funny for most of the movie too.
Yeah.
Like it's
amusing.
Yeah, it's amusing. I wouldn't say it's like a riot or anything, but even like towards the end, it like there's still parts where it's like clearly going for comedy and it still like works. Mm-hmm. So I was surprised by that balance of tones and everything.
Yeah. I guess it's more of like I'm saying this, and right when I was about to say it, I literally just read it on Google. So I'm trying to not come off as I just read it on Google, but like it's more of a mystery than anything. It's like he's
a
like
revenge thriller kind of too.
Yeah,
the subversion. A bit
I would say, but I was expecting more of the revenge thriller, and honestly, it's still more of a mystery.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I guess that is, you spend most of the movie just trying to figure out exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, he is too. There are revenge aspects to it.
It's more like, why is this person seeking revenge against me? Then I want to get revenge on you. Mm-hmm. But he kind of does at the same time.
Yeah.
And we won't go into why. But yeah, it's just kind of this weird thing, and it's like unraveling what exactly is going on here.
And I think the parallels between the antagonist and protagonist are very interesting and one of my favorite parts of the movie in a lot of ways.
And I think it has a satisfying ending, I guess is what I'd put it.
Yeah, the way the final shot it's like I mean, I don't know how to feel exactly about where it ends. I mean, I think it's very good. And you can kind of interpret it how you will. But the twist's very good. I think the less you know about this movie going into it, the better, I think.
Yeah.
I think I had the twist for this movie spoiled for me a while ago, honestly.
Oh, yeah?
But I think I had it was one of those things where I
like the reveal of the mystery, I guess.
Yeah, I think I had forgotten it was this movie, and so as the movie was going on, I'm like, oh, I think this is this movie that I'm thinking of, and then it was, but it was still very satisfying to kind of figure out where it was going, and I still wasn't entirely sure for most of the movie, but yeah.
Well, I told you, I'm like, kind of like certain moments where I'm like, oh, well, this is this is gonna be a reveal at some point. Yeah. And it was right, except I completely forgot that was my first thought because I just got engrossed in all the other stuff that was happening. Well, and then it came, and I was like, oh, wait, oh, wow. And I'm like, wait a second. I literally thought that 2 hours ago.
Well, I think the movie does. I mean, honestly, once again, without getting into details, I was thinking the same thing at the same point, but I think the movie does a really good job of taking your attention away from that and subverting it in a lot of ways. And even if
you're not even sure really what's going on.
Yeah. So it doesn't.
Or if that would be I didn't even think that would be an important reveal at the time that I thought it would be a reveal.
And the main character, Odesu, is constantly questioning his own reality too. So you're kind of wondering is what I'm thinking true? He's very distrusting of a lot of people that he meets, and a lot of people that he meets turns out to be working for the antagonist, and it's. Yeah, so it's very confusing. So the fact that I think we got lost in that is probably completely intentional.
Yeah. It's a great movie to watch with your mom.
Yes.
Just kidding. No. That is a joke. Do not watch this with. Probably just watch this alone.
Yeah, or if you have friends that are into these kind of hardcore movies, I think you could. I mean, I wasn't uncomfortable watching it with you, Jimmy.
Well, but I'm always just grabbing octopi and just That was more gross than I was expecting it to be. I thought I was oh, I know it's coming. I'm desensitized, and I'm like, no, that was even worse than I thought. Yeah. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you will soon.
If you watch it.
If you otherwise,
which you absolutely should. I think it's a classic for a reason.
Yeah. I don't know. Is it on streaming at all? It doesn't look like it. You just got to rent it, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Otherwise, what else have you been doing, Holman?
Yeah. So other movies. I was in Lincoln this weekend. My parents just got a new puppy, so I was hanging out with that. But I ended up watching a few movies while I was there. I watched My Neighbor Totoro. Studio Ghibli movie.
All right. Yeah.
Which I had never seen. Apparently, according to my dad, I was scared of the character Totoro as a kid, which is kind of like Ghibli's mascot at this point. You'd recognize it if you saw it. Probably.
Yeah. I think I've seen that before.
It's very cute.
It's like a Pokemon.
Yeah, it does look like a Pokemon. It's an incredibly cute movie. It is I'm pretty sure that and Grave of the Fireflies came out in the same year. And if you're familiar with that movie, that's a movie that is incredibly depressing, complete opposite. My Neighbor Totoro is a Miyazaki movie, and it's just all about like childhood wonder and imagination. It's like 80 minutes long, basically has like no plot to it. It's like basically that is terrifying.
I know.
I hate that.
I know, that's just terrible. I'm pulling up an adult Totoro costume for cosplay, and it's $120, and it is horrifying.
Horrible.
Imagine a person being a rat.
Who thought that was like, why don't you make the costume like a big, I mean, you get like T-Rex costumes that are big inflatable. Why don't you, I don't know. Anyway, it's a movie that has like no plot. It's all about these kids moving to this new place, interacting with like these forest creatures. And there's a bit of a conflict towards the end, but not much. It is very whimsical. I loved it. It was so cute. It made me tear up towards the end. I don't know why it scared me as a kid, because it is like entirely geared towards kids. I don't know, but
this costume's scary. I took a screenshot of it. If I remember to put it in the video version, hopefully I do. If I don't, just look up Totoro, and then above on the shopping, it will come up.
Oh my God, I hate that. I hate that you're going to expose our audience to that too.
Yeah, or here, I'll just copy the link here and put it in the
in the
notes. So if I forget to put the image, now it's in the notes. Right above the time codes. Creepy Totoro costume. And there it is. All right.
I also
for our audio listeners as well.
Yes. I also watched the Grand Budapest Hotel. Rewatched that because my younger brother hadn't seen it. Still very good. That is. It's. Have you seen Grand Budapest?
I have not. I've only seen Moonrise Kingdom and the French Dispatch.
Yeah, you should absolutely watch Grand Budapest.
I feel like that's the one I probably like the most.
It is probably his best movie. It's not my favorite because I think Moonrise is still my personal favorite, but it's just like a perfect movie. Everyone in it's so good. It's got all the Wes Anderson-isms, but I think to full effect and to its best effect. And then aside from that, just been watching the weekly shows as usual. Harley Quinn's new season. Got that My Adventures with Superman show that's finishing up still. And video game wise, I platinum trophied the Pac-Man World repack. So yeah, I did that. Which was really hard because the hardest trophy in that game, I don't remember if I mentioned it last week, but I had to get to level 9 in the original Pac-Man arcade game. I spent so long trying to do that because the original Pac-Man game is so hard, but I got so good at that game by the end of it. I'm going to go to an arcade sometime and show off my skills on that game because I know what paths to take and stuff.
What's it called? Arcade 88 or whatever.
88.
Downtown.
Yeah.
Bars 80, something like that.
81. Yeah, I don't know. There's a barcade downtown.
Yeah,
in Sioux
81.
Falls.
Maybe that's it.
It's very fun, but did that. So now I started Castlevania Symphony of the Night on the PlayStation, but at my current place, we're rearranging our basement. So I haven't really been able to play with the TV. So I've just been playing on my Switch.
Just get that Project Portal. Hold on. We didn't talk about that. We could have talked about talk. Project, did you see that?
I did.
Here's a little talk interjection into what are you doing. It's $200, 8-inch full HD, not OLED screen. It can it's basically only remote play for your PS5, but it doesn't have to be on the same network. Just needs to be on it has to be on a good network.
Interesting.
So you could theoretically be all the way across the world and have great internet and then connect to it.
Yeah. Stupid
thing is the Pulse headphones don't work with it. They have a new version of their PlayStation only Bluetooth that they use, and they have new earbuds and a new Pro headset that will work with it, and then they have the headphone jack that you can use, which is so stupid. Imagine really buying the $100 Pulse headphones, and then Sony does not even make them compatible with their new thing, and a lot of people are just dunking why would anybody ever get this? What is the target audience for it? And I would actually. Not right now, but I would actually consider getting this at some point because I have always wanted to play PlayStation on the treadmill or something while I'm moving, and it's I tried to when I lived it with my parents pre-COVID, they had a treadmill, and I like had set up a TV right there, and it just was like, it was like too far away, and it was weird to have the control. Like, so if it was like that,
play some Forbidden West.
yeah, I'm like, I would actually like, and it was in my house. The problem is where I live now, the workout facility doesn't have Wi-Fi. So, but if I like had a house, I had the treadmill, I could actually see myself using this thing and getting the $200 out of it. I don't have either of those things, and I wonder how many people would actually fit that category.
Yeah, it seems so niche, and I get what it's going for. I mean, the portability is nice. I wasn't aware of that it could be on any network. That's kind of cool, but still, like, I don't know, $200.
Like, it's not like remote play is proprietary only to this thing.
Yeah,
it's like you can get an iPad and use remote play, and like your DualSense can wirelessly connect to your iPad.
Yeah,
it's like, or you could get like the phone and just an off-brand controller.
I mean, really, the biggest benefit is that it's all handheld, I guess. Like, you don't need to
and the
set it up
screen's
anywhere.
It's just there. And theoretically, if you're on the same network, you could use all the other apps and stuff. But
for me, I'm just kind of like, not that obviously PlayStation has different games, but you can also just get like a Switch you can get one of the Switch Lites for $200, I think.
Yeah.
Like, which is a whole new console with a whole other library of games. So it's probably not anything I'll ever get. I mean, cool for the people that it's good for, but yeah, not my thing personally.
Yeah, it just seems weird that they would invest into making it.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like something to get their money out of. Otherwise, you have anything else that you were doing?
No, not really. I don't think so.
All right, sweet. I have been rewatching some episodes of The White Lotus because Emily's been watching it.
Oh, yeah.
Just a good show. I originally said I like season 2 better than season 1, but I don't know. We watched part of the second half of season 1 with her, and I'm like, this is really good.
Yeah. Both seasons are really good.
I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure. So I guess I just had to continue rewatching season 2 with her and be like, oh yeah, that's right. I really like that part. They're both very solid, and I enjoy it, and funnier than I remember being. Especially the dad in season 1. I think he's just really funny.
The dad is great.
Otherwise, been playing Horizon Forbidden West. I am like basically at the end of the story, so I'm doing a lot of side stuff before the end game. Before the end game. We're in the end game now.
We're in the end game now.
But I have not had a ton of time to play that because of school starting, so I've only played it like a couple hours maybe the last week. So there we go. That's what I've been doing. Holden, the plan for next week is a little bit up in the air. There's a couple possibilities.
Yes. So we're considering, I mean, we could try, a big Oscar movie that, like Past Lives or something. It's not currently on streaming, so we'd have to buy it, I think.
It's like an on-demand sort of deal.
Yeah. So we could do that.
VOD.
We could find some other big movie we've missed, or we could do Saw.
We could catch up on some of the Saw movies.
Which I think we have a couple open weeks in September prior to Saw 10, so it might not
There's
be a bad
only
idea.
9 of them, Holden.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we've both seen Jigsaw and Spiral. I
don't remember any. Spiral. I don't remember Jigsaw very well.
Okay.
I probably honestly wouldn't need to rewatch the first one because I've seen it probably like a handful of times, but
like we don't have to do Spiral. I feel like that's not going to have anything
Spiral.
to do with Saw X anyway. So anyway, so we'll figure out something for next week. And then the next week is None 2. None Your Business.
None Your
Can't
Business.
wait for that.
What's she doing?
She's just
None Your
standing
Business. Golly, the Nun 2. Nunchucks.
But if you want to leave us a request, you can do so by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes or email us at tomppodcast@gmail.com or donate to our Patreon. And I believe that's it, Jimmy.
All right, sweet. Until next week, then. Adios, pantalones.
Love you.